There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. If you're joining us on Zoom or if you're joining us on Facebook, it's lovely to have you here. My name is Helene Brandt. I'm from Grow Educate Centers, and today we are talking about how to keep growing our ECD businesses. We'll look at some tips and tricks and proven strategies for how to run a 5-star and sustainable ECD center. You are going to love it. Let me make sure. Oh, yeah, chat. I see the chat was not activated. Sorry about that. Try again. Okay, use the chat section now to say hello. Let us know where you're from, what your center's name is. We'd love to hear from you. It's fantastic to see some names of people I know and also lots of new people. Hi, Andy. Hello, Brenda. Kaylin. Hello, Charlene and Krista. Demetria and Diane. Hello, everybody. Lovely to have you here. So today's meeting will be recorded. If you get interrupted by load shedding or anything else, don't worry, we'll record the meeting and we'll share the slides with you as well. Let's give one more minute for a few more people to join. Hi, Marsha Stanley. She says she's from Cape Town, from Gen Z Cyber Academy. Marsha, I love that name. Always so impressed with the names. Shannon is from Mpumalanga and Secunda. Welcome. She's from Ken Eden Educate Center. Thanks for joining us all the way from Mpumalanga. And Vanessa is from Cotlands. She's also joining us today. We have Nicole from Roodepoort. DK from New Hope Kingdom Kids in Soweto. Welcome. Oh, and we have Janine Julies from Little Big Shots Educare in Mannenberg. Okay, welcome. That's so nice to have you here. Yuliswa is from Kailicha area. Janine is from Julie's Tiny Tots. We have people from Heathfield, Springs, Brakpan, Pretoria West. Oh, Pretoria, well, and Gansbaai, Western Cape, PE. Thank you, everybody, for joining us from all over the country. It's such a pleasure to have you here. Today, I have two amazing guests for you. Lindsay Petro is our head of partnerships, and Sheila Chikoki is our regional manager for the Western Cape. So, Sheila, thank you for joining us again. Our guests, our attendees always love chatting to you. And Lindsay is our brand new adding to the mix for our webinars. You're going to love her. Today, we're talking about how to run a sustainable 5-star ECD center. And we're going to be sharing some very specific tips and tricks. I wouldn't even say tricks, just best practice, really. So let's get going. Feel free to use the chat section if you have any questions or comments. We'll do our best to get to you, and we'll do our best to answer your questions. In the meanwhile, let's get going. Lindsay, when people say sustainable business and ECD businesses, it can feel a little bit overwhelming. What you do is a little bit of an intro to help us start thinking about what it means to run a sustainable business and where we should be going with the mind shifts.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Liam. And I'm very eager to have my first Grow webinar. I'd like to pose a question first, which is, what does success look like for your preschool? And we ask that question because in order for us to look forward, in order for us to start thinking about how we're going to grow our businesses, it's helpful to look back to think about why we started them in the first place. So what does success look like for you? Take a moment to think about that. And now I'm going to share some of the examples of answers that we often get from ECD center owners who we've asked this question to. So Helen, you can move to the next slide. When we ask this question, we often get a lot of answers related to people's impact goals, the good that people want to do when they start their centers, something heartfelt, something positive, something for the community. So some examples of this include, we want to see children are safe and healthy. We want to see that children receive a good education and are ready for school. We want parents to participate in their children's learning. Next one, Lillian. We want to create employment opportunities, and we want to improve our own economic well-being. right? So these are all impact goals, and those are great. But when we start a business to meet these social or community needs, we are actually social entrepreneurs, right? So a social entrepreneur is a person who starts a business that has the potential to solve community-based problems. And once and for all, I really want to show you that you are a social entrepreneur. So we're going to go through a very quick checklist, and I want you to tick these off as we go. So, did you start your business because you identified a need? Tick that one off. Did you launch this business to meet those needs? So you opened your center to meet those impact needs that you wanted to meet, right? Do you take on the risks and the responsibilities for your business? If something goes wrong, it's on your shoulders, right? And through your business, do you provide opportunity for change for people and your community? Do you provide better education outcomes? Do you provide employment opportunities? Do you provide improved nutrition? All of those things. Now, I can tell you, for those of you that are ECD Center owners, I'm sure that 99% of you ticked off all of these different criteria, and that makes you a social entrepreneur. Now, a major problem that we have in the ECD sector in South Africa is that we don't act like social entrepreneurs. And Sheila will tell us what this looks like.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Lindsay, for introducing us to the term social entrepreneur. So to run a successful ECD center or an ECD preschool, it means you need to have impact goals for you to be able to survive for many years. And knowing that we are social entrepreneurs means that we need to know what it takes to be successful. We won't be successful if we only make lots of money, but children are not learning. And we also won't reach our impact goals if we make a lot of money, but the children are not learning as well. So it is important for us to have both a heart for children as well as a head for business, so that we care about the quality of the service that we offer, but we also care about the sustainability of the center and ensuring that we keep our doors open. So I'm sure some of you are already asking me, what does it exactly mean to say that I have a heart for children, which I'm sure many of us, if not all, really have very big hearts that are throbbing for children. And that's mainly why we started our centers in the first place. And so there are certain things that we really need to explore if we want to check if we're really offering a quality ECD service. And some of the things that you need to manage include making sure that you have a curriculum and a daily program that you follow. You need to ensure that you have educational resources and equipment to enable the learners to use for proper optimum development and to ensure that stimulation happens. You need to track the development of the children. You need to make sure that your staff are qualified and they are properly developed throughout for them to continue to be relevant and to continue to be in the know regarding the work that they're doing with the children. And obviously, you need to be able to have proper sound engagements with your parents. So it's important for all of us to just look and pause and check for yourself. How many of these things do you tick in the daily operations that you do so that you can see where you stand when it comes to your heart for children? And then when it comes to a head for business, it means that you really cannot operate your preschool without caring about the sustainability of it. Because it's like I said earlier on, it's not helpful if we're going to make sure that we make sure that children are stimulated, but we won't be able to offer the service in the future. So some of the things that you need to take care of to show that you have a head for business include the following. You need to care about the registration and compliance of your ECD center. You need to care about the administration of your ECD center. It is actually the engine that fuels everything that happens in your center. You need to care about the finances. We'll be talking more about it a little bit in the future now. You need to manage all the human resources of your center. You need to market your center, and you need to ensure that you do adequate fundraising to keep your doors open.
Awesome. Thank you, Sheila. So we have about 40 minutes ahead of us. We wanted to make sure we really use the time today to be as productive as possible and give you really practical tips and advice. So the only thing I wanted to say about GROW is, in case you don't know GROW ECD yet, who is GROW? We're a nonprofit organization that is focusing on how we can empower the people who are educating the next generation. And the way we do that is we want to help preschools, ECD center owners run their preschools like business. And that means we need to connect and equip your ECD businesses with the skills, the support, and the resources you need so that you can provide 5-star early learning while also being sustainable and being there for the future generation. So how can GROW help you today? We're going to focus on 4 key areas for growing your preschool business. Now, there are many areas. It's like an onion, it has many layers, but practically we can only focus on a few things today. So we spoke to our business mentors, we spoke to other ECD center owners, and we really identified if we could only speak about 4 things, what would that be? Today, we're going to be talking about administration. Keeping organized is key to managing your small business. We're going to talk about finances. Let's face it, you can't make good decisions without knowing your numbers. We're going to look at sustainability, and we're going to look at quality education, which is actually the service that you offer as a business. So to get us going, I think that I'm going to ask Lindsay to kick us off with the discussion around administration and what we need to know here.
Thanks, Leanne. Before we start talking about administration, I want to give you another label. As an ECD center owner, yes, you are a social entrepreneur. We tick that one off. But you are also the CEO. You're the chief everything officer. You are the HR manager and the lawyer and the cook and the accountant and the teacher and the secretary and the nurse at your center, plus a whole lot more. Okay, so having good administration in place means that you can be more efficient and effective in all of those things. Good admin is really, I think Sheila mentioned it earlier, it's the engine that keeps your car going, right? Your car could be beautiful on the outside, but without that engine, it's going to go nowhere. And so that's why we're going to talk about a little bit more about administration. So admin includes, well, administration skills and processes are important to all aspects of your center management. And admin includes your paperwork and your processes. And often we think about admin as kind of the boring stuff. But in actual fact, good admin matters when it comes to the big stuff, right? And let me show you a couple of examples. So how can good admin, for example, build trust and help you manage risks? Sheila, will you do a little exercise with me?
Okay, sure.
I'm going to bring my daughter Tandi to your ECD center. I saw you had an ad out and I'm going to bring it to my center. So if I show up at Sheila's center and I say, hi Sheila, this is my daughter Tandi.
Hello, Lindsay. Pleased to see you. Okay, thank you for bringing Tandi to me. See you later when you come back from work.
If that was the response that I got from Sheila, I would grab my daughter and run out of that center. Why? Because in actual fact, Sheila hasn't built any trust with me. How could she have built trust? Having an enrollment form, having a process where I can understand my roles and responsibilities as the caregiver and Sheila's roles and responsibilities as the center owner. So in that case, a simple enrollment form and a discussion would have built trust between me, Sheila, and little Tandi, okay? Similarly, in terms of your documentation and signing indemnity forms, if something happens at your center where a child gets hurt and you need to contact their caregiver, having good admin in place allows you to do that very quickly. Or if you go on a field trip and something happens to a child, having the indemnity form then manages your risk in that way. So they're little things but matter for the big picture. Okay, let me give you another example to show how good admin can kind of keep you in the know and help you make decisions. Now, one of the things that we know in the sector is that our attendance rates fluctuate, right? In the beginning of the year and during school holidays, there's not as many children attending our services. And so our grocery bill shouldn't be as high during that time, and we shouldn't spend too much additional money catering for children who aren't actually going to be there. So having that information at my fingertips allows me to make good decisions. But also, Sheila, help me again. If I come to you as your center, as a funder, and I say, Sheila, I want to support you for your Mandela Day initiative. I want to be there on Friday. How many children are there generally on a Friday?
It's usually 15 in the 2 to 3, and 14 actually with Tandy, and then let me check in the grade R. Let me call my teacher quickly. I think
okay.
It's
so thank you, Sheila. So in that case, Sheila's admin wasn't at her fingertips. She couldn't answer. She couldn't kind of build trust again with the funder, being in the know. And those kinds of things reflect badly on your center. What should have happened was Sheila should be able to go immediately to her records and tell me exactly the information that I needed to hear. Okay, so how can Grow help with this particular issue of administration? Helene.
Thank you so much. All right, so how can Grow help you with your admin? If you are struggling with a learner enrollment form, you're looking for something that is POPI compliant and can collect all the information you need, you're welcome to download a learner enrollment form template from our resource center for free. You can also use the app to enroll your learners and staff on the app and then take their daily attendance registers. Think almost of the app as your virtual school. You have your physical school, which you can see, and everything that happens in the school, you're recording virtually on your phone. And that's going to help you with your record keeping and your analysis and your reporting. You can also upload documents and keep it stored in the cloud through your phone. So no more worrying about whether something might be spoiled or get lost or stolen. You can use the app to run your professional learner assessments per age group. And then once you complete with the learner assessment, you can download the report and share that with parents as your end of term or end of year report. That's really, really professional and a great way to keep track of your admin. You can even go through the registration self-assessment checklist to see, is your center on track for all the registration requirements? We have recruitment guidelines, policies, procedures, templates. Almost too much to talk about today. So I'm going to leave it there. If you need administration support, you can use our app for free. All right, let's move on to finances, and I will pause momentarily for us to go into some of the questions. But let's look at the finance section with you, Sheila. Tell us more.
Thanks, Helene. I actually love speaking about finances to ECD owners particularly, because either some get very excited about it or others, they get heartaches from talking about their finances. So I'm sure I'm speaking to many when I say that money or finances is often something that we want to tackle, but we tend to ignore. And finances, though, are an important part of achieving the impact goals of an ECD center. I think we've already mentioned when we were talking about the Heart for Children and the Head for Business, that it doesn't help for us to do as much work with the learners, but not be able to open our doors until the end of the year because we don't have enough money to keep us going. So when we talk about finances, there are a couple of things that I want to focus on. And one of the greatest tips, more like the golden rule in the running of ECD centers, is that one needs to separate their personal finances from their business finances. So it is very important for an ECD owner or a preschool owner to make sure that they open a business bank account where all the money for the center goes into that account. And as the owner of the center, you need to have your own personal account where at the end of the month, you pay yourself a salary like any other staff member and you deposit it into your personal bank account so that you live off that. And whatever is left is for the business and needs to be managed accordingly. So there are certain things that we need to make sure that we take good care of when it comes to the finances at the ECD center. And for purposes of now, I'm going to tackle on three main things. One of them is budgeting. It is very important as an ECD owner to ensure that you always sit down and look and focus on all those your expenses as well as all the income that you're expecting to get, so that you come up with a budget, something that guides you in terms of how your finances are going to be spent throughout the year. It is also very important to track your income as well as track your expenses, so that you always are in the know and you always have control of where your money is going to and where you are having a shortfall or where you're getting your profit from, so that you make deliberate and purposeful financial decisions when it comes to everything about your center. Another important thing as well, which we'll tackle on a little bit later in detail, is about saving. And I think COVID-19 also helped us quite a lot within the sector when we had the lockdown, for us to really understand that we need to put some money aside for a rainy day. So for now, I'm going to ask that we do a little demonstration. This is actually my favorite, and I'm going to ask you, Helen, to help me with this.
Yes,
And
I'm happy to help.
everyone, sorry?
I'm happy to help.
Okay, thank you so much. And I want everyone, as we're going through this example, I'm challenging everyone to also look at themselves and introspect and also play along with your own personal example of the same thing that we are doing now with Helen. So Helen, tell me, what is that one thing that you love doing? That's just that thing that you spend money on, not out of necessity, but because it's a habit.
Sheila, when I have a tough day, I always feel like I deserve a Diet Coke. Like, you know, one
And
of those
I always see you
heroes.
carrying one in the office.
Yes.
Eh? Okay, so can we use that?
I think I buy
example?
one or maybe two every week.
Okay, let's demonstrate that. Can you put that on the screen? So we're going to use Helen's example of your Diet Coke. And you're saying how much is a Diet Coke, Helen?
It's about 12 Rand. It depends where you buy it.
Okay, 12 Rand. Okay, that's not much. And how many times do you buy it a week?
Ooh, I think, if I'm honest with myself, 2 times a week, every week.
2 times a week. Okay, so let's do a simple mathematic, and you can do it with me practically. So it's 12 Rand for your Diet Coke, multiplied by 2 times a week times 52 weeks in a year, right?
Yes.
So we're multiplying that by 104. So what is your total cost per year for your Diet Coke, Helen?
No, Sheila, I can't believe it. I'm spending 1,248 Rand a year on a drink.
On
That's
Coca-Cola.
crazy.
Okay, and do you have that? Did you realize that? Do you have that in your budget, that you have a 1,248 that is lying around for you to utilize for your Coca-Cola?
It's actually amazing because, you know, I budget for my child's school fees, and I budget for our food, and I budget for our electricity, but I've not been budgeting for this.
I think when you're doing your budget discussion in your house, please include this, maybe not even 12 Rand, 13 Rand for 2024, so that you always put it in the budget.
Yes.
So the reason why we were doing this illustration is that I'm sure you all agree with me that we don't always know where our money goes, and we don't always track it. We don't always go and look for where our little Rand is going to. And as a result, we have so much spending that we make on things that do not really matter. But at the end of the day, we always see ourselves as if we do not have money. So this then brings about the importance that we were talking about of 1, budgeting, 2, tracking, so that every little Rand you use in your business, you need to know where it's going to. Can I also ask that we move to the next slide? So I see this was a personal example, but the same principles also applies to our businesses as well. It is very important that we track, where does your business money go? Whatever little money that you buy, whether it's airtime, whether it's that cool drink that you bought for your staff on a cold summer day, you need to make sure that you keep track of it. I'll use this example for now, where we know not all parents bring their wipes for their children, or just toilet paper rolls. You don't collect enough from parents for some, and you end up every month just buying a 6-pack of baby wipes and 18 toilet paper rolls, just to be on the standby for you to be able to utilize. And let's say you use 200 Rand for that, and you don't keep track of it. At the end of the year, you will have used 2,400 Rand of your business money just to go on toilet paper and baby wipes. So this goes to tell you that it is very important for you to then put this 2,400 in your budget so that you are able to account for that money that is coming into your business and is being utilized for something that might seem as insignificant as toilet paper and baby wipes.
Yes, and how often do we just take some money out of our own wallet, give it to a teacher and say, oh, run down to the shop for me, buy some bread, buy milk, buy toilet wipes. And then at the end of the month, we think, where's my money gone?
Absolutely.
So if it comes to finances, and like Sheila, I'm going to challenge you to say, make finances your friend, change your mind. Say that, you know, start talking to yourself about how that you are the chief everything officer, and finances is one of the things that you really can get a hold of and manage practically in your center. And Grow is here to help you. I see, in fact, that there's someone, I think Katleho Matlala, commented to say that she's thinking of opening an ECD center. So these are crucial things, especially for people starting out as well. You can use the Grow app to set a budget for your ECD center. Then you start tracking all of your expenses. As you get the receipts, simply put them into the app. Then you can start seeing whether your actual expenditure matches your budget. Have you budgeted too much or too little? The same for income. Start tracking all your fees received. Then you can see which parents consistently not paying or paying late. And you can address that sooner rather than later before it becomes an issue. You can track all your salaries that you've paid per staff, all your income received, including your fundraising income or even your subsidy income. And by putting all the data together in the app, you'll be able to see and download your financial statements and your financial records. It really is a great tool to help you plan ahead. The other thing that I can highly recommend is our free online training, which is also available through the app. So go to the Giraffe app, go into the online training section. The course on budgeting is excellent, and it was specifically written for ECD center owners, not for other business people. The other course is called Me and My Money. This is all about your personal financial freedom, and that course will really help you take control of your personal finances, and you'll get a lovely certificate of completion when you're done. All right. So Sheila, tell us about savings. Do you really think we can save in our businesses? What should we be doing here?
Thanks for that. I think saving is possible. And I think if I can also begin with our personal, in our personal lives, I know we do save quite a lot. And it's quite easy. I think I can give examples of towards the end of the year, I'm sure a lot of people save some money for them to go and visit their friends and families in other provinces. We sometimes save for our children's clothing. We save for our children's stationery and clothing, school clothing for the new year. So saving is not something that is foreign to us as ECD owners. I would want to believe that. We even save for that pair of shoes that we've been eyeing for some time for our next church conference or for our next ECD forum meeting. So saving is something that we're so used to in our personal lives, just that at times we don't really realize and put it into proper perspective that it is actually saving that we're doing. So I'm going to share with us that it is also important that we also save when it comes to our business. We need to make sure that we have savings and money, a certain portion of our business income that we put aside, and we put money aside for us to be able to attend to maintenance, certain maintenance needs. We need to put money aside for rainy days. We need to put money aside for when we beef up our stationery. We need to also put money aside for salaries, because at times not all or not all parents pay on time. That's the reality of ECD centers at times. But if you've got some money that you had put in your contingency, you're going to be able to have enough money to pay your salaries as you're waiting to collect the outstanding income from parents. You also need to make sure that you save for other unexpected expenses, because we always have these coming, not every month, but there are some other unforeseen things that might also occur within our businesses that we need to always have put money aside to be able to do that. And I think another important tip when it comes to saving is that people usually think that you save what is left when you've covered all your other expenses. So I'm here to say that that is a wrong way of looking at it, actually. I think we need to include savings as a budget line item. So as you are listing all your other expenses, you're listing your rent, you're listing your electricity, your salaries, you also need to list the money that you're putting aside for savings, so that it's not just whatever is left after everything else has been done, because many a times then there's nothing left. So if you include it in those as a line item, it becomes much easier for you to be able to save. And once we are able to save, it enables us then to at least be able to push our businesses towards some form of sustainability. Let's hear from Lindsay about it.
What a wonderful segue. Thank you, Sheila. So our head for business is the key focus of the topic of sustainability. And sustainability is about making sure that we can keep our doors open, that our business will still exist tomorrow and next week and well into the future. If you go to the next slide, Elian, sometimes sustainability is associated with the idea of making profit or making money, which is looked down on in the ECD sector. But at its core, we simply want to focus on the idea of covering your expenses. And this means not operating at a loss. Okay. One of the messages I want to leave with you today, in addition to all the labels I've given you, is that you are your own plan A. It is lovely to be able to benefit from government support or to get assistance from ECD support organizations. But well before you are a beneficiary of any of those organizations or of government, you are a business owner. And so fees and fundraising must be your plan A for sustainability. Okay. So in terms of that, let's talk a little bit about those two topics, fees and fundraising. Now, managing your fees. How do you decide what fees to charge? Helene, is it possible to ask the audience a question?
Yes, let's do that right now. As you look on your screen, you should see a poll asking you, how did you set your school fees? So just tap on the one that makes most sense for you. My ECD forum told me what to charge. Or do you charge the same as the other centers in your neighborhood? Or did you calculate all of your expenses and then determine how much you need to charge? Did you see what parents can afford? Or did you ask other people what they think is fair? You just look at your phone or your computer right now and you'll see the question. I'd love to hear from the audience. How did you set your school fees? 40 people have already answered. Going to give it a few more seconds. Have a look at your phone, answer the poll right now. We already have 60 people that have given an answer. We'd love to hear what you did to set your school fees. All right. I'm going to end the poll now, and then let's share the results.
Drum roll.
Share results. Can you see anything on your screen?
Yes, I can.
Can you?
Yes, so I can tell you the most popular answer was, I charge the same as other centers in my neighborhood. And that is a common thing that we see across ECD centers. Also, some people said that the ECD forum tells them what to charge. So those two combined to make about 45% of responses. And then 24% said, I calculated my expenses to determine how much I need to charge. 26% said, I see what parents can afford. And 5% I ask other people what they think is fair. Thank you, Helene.
So you're saying the most people say that they charge the same as other centers in their neighborhood, or they see what parents can afford?
Yeah, boom.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you, when it comes to fees, the numbers have to make sense. Okay, so just like in your street or in your area where there are lots of ECD centers, think about a shopping mall. In a shopping mall, there are lots of different shops, there are lots of different restaurants. Okay, Woolworths and Pep and Ackermans and Edgar's do not charge the same thing for their different products. Similarly, your pizza and your burger and your roti and your pasta don't cost the same thing at different restaurants. You charge based on what the product you are offering and based on the expenses that you are going to incur. So I do challenge you, and I know that it's difficult, but I do challenge you to see and reflect on whether or not your numbers, your fee numbers, make business sense. And I want to go through an example quickly. So the basic principle of calculating your fees is that you need to add up all your expenses and some savings and divide that amount by the number of learners attending your center each month. So this will give you the amount of income you need to take care of the learner. So let's see if we can see that in numbers. So in this example, we have 40 learners with teachers, and there's their salaries, and then we have the other expenses made up of probably food and, you know, the toilet rolls that we were talking about earlier. So to run this little center, it costs 23,500 Rand a month. There are 40 learners, so we divide that amount by 40, and it comes to 587 per learner per month. Now that per learner amount might be made up of a subsidy, so you can take the 360 off, but then you have to charge the rest as school fees, and that would be 227. Okay.
So Lindsay,
Now,
in this example, if your center doesn't receive a subsidy, you'd have to charge the 587 Rand a month to cover all of your expenses. So if
you do something that's fundraising that contributes to those fees,
okay,
but ultimately to make business sense, you have to be charging or receiving 587 Rand per learner.
I hear what you're saying. So I need to receive 587 Rand per learner per month into my business, whether that's school fees, subsidy, fundraising, whatever other income. Okay.
Exactly right. Now, the reality is that often, you know, we serve families that are in need. And some children at our centers won't be paying our fees, or we're paying a portion of our fees. And we can have those arrangements with parents. That's absolutely fine. But we still need the numbers to make sense. Okay, so let's look at some other maths. Helene, can you show the next slide? So in this example, we have exactly the same center, but they are not 40 paying learners. They're 40 attending, but there are 35 paying learners. Like we said, the same salary bill and the same other expenses and our money towards savings. But now we have to divide that amount by 35 learners because 5 of them are not paying. Now the fees are 671. Again, part of that might be given to us in the form of a subsidy or covered in the form of a subsidy, but our school fees then for each individual learner should be 311 Rand per month. Does that make sense, Elian?
Yes. And so in this example, we're saying we have one owner and 2 teachers. All of them are earning minimum wage, which is still 4,106 Rand. And the other expenses are things like rent. We've included 3,500 Rand rent in this example. Electricity, we've used 10 Rand a day per child for food, so we can provide a breakfast and a lunch. So you can do the same type of calculation when you write down all of your expenses, and don't forget even the smallest thing like your Wi-Fi if you have that, or like you said, toilet paper.
Exactly right. Now the other thing I want to tackle in terms of fees is the idea of quantity versus quality. Okay. So often there's a pride in the idea of having more children at your center, right? And also we kind of think, well, more children means more fees. It makes business sense. But that's not always the case. We need to know the difference between quantity, so the number of children that are attending or a number of customers we have, and the quality, the value of those customers to us. Customers are more valuable when they can afford our services, when they agree on the roles and responsibilities that we are going to share, when they engage and communicate effectively with you, etc. Okay, so if I look at this example, and I have 90 learners that are all paying 150 Rand per month, my income is going to be 13,500 Rand. My other option is to have 30 learners, a third of the amount, all paying 450 Rand, right? Times 3, that 150 times 3. But this also gives me 13,500 Rand, okay? And we have to remember that having 90 children means more expenses because there are more food costs, there are more staff costs, there are more consumables, etc. So more in terms of quantity doesn't always make sense if we haven't considered quality. Okay, so think about your ECD center and whether or not you are relying a lot on getting more and more children into your space versus actually offering a really good service to a smaller customer base that are loyal and reliable. Okay. Any questions on that, Elian?
Let me check in the chat. Dina is asking how many hours did we use for staff in our example. I think we used 40 hours per week, Dina. And let me check. Can we get the slides? Yes, you may.
I see Wendy
And
asked a question.
Wendy.
How do you deal with parents who do not pay?
Yes, very good question.
I'm going to answer quickly and then maybe Sheila wants to add. When we go to the shop or we go to the hair salon and we ask for a product or a service and we go and we tell those people that we are not going to be paying, they will show us the door, right? That is the reality of it. So there's an exchange of value when we have children in our care. And that is a service that people should be paying for. So what we need to do is we have to be able to have very hard conversations and be willing to let certain customers who are not paying go sometimes. There's a difference there between parents who just won't pay or parents who want to make arrangements with you to have a reduced fee. That's a conversation that you could have. Or if they want to volunteer their expertise in your garden or in your kitchen or for maintenance instead of paying, because that will reduce some of your costs. But you have to be able to we have to be willing to have some tough conversations around the fact that in no other business does somebody let me just get away with not paying. And we have to also hold ourselves to that standard and be brave enough to put our foot down sometimes. Would you like to add, Sheila?
I think it goes back to that balance between the love for and the passion for what we're doing and the understanding that we are social entrepreneurs and we are running a business. So I think I'll add to what you said, Lindsay, by saying that we need to be able to attach value to the service that we are offering. And if somebody is disrespecting that, we need to have an approach or a policy in place that we implement for us to be able to rectify that. And I think if somebody is really adamant and they keep doing that, then the best way would be to let go of them because they are not a good customer for you and they will always give you trouble. And I think it also goes back to that example that you gave, Lindsay, about the quality versus the quantity. I would say rather don't hold on to such a parent because they're actually utilizing a space for a paying parent, or rather reduce the number of learners that you have and collect better fees to be able to get the income that you need than to hold on to parents that are not cooperative.
Yeah, I'll also say, if I go and I see a jersey at Woolworths and I say, this is too expensive for me right now. It's a really good quality jersey, but I can't afford it right now. Woolworths aren't going to say, no, wait, Lindsay, I'll give you a discount on the jersey. That's not how it works. They'll say, okay, I can go and purchase something somewhere else for something that I can afford. We have to have the same approach. We mustn't reduce our pride and our confidence in the service that we offer. We need to stand firm for it. Okay. But now we know that it's not always possible to just simply use our fees as a way to generate income. We know that sometimes we also have a subsidy, but there's also the opportunity to fundraise. And I know, Leanne, you've done a whole webinar on this, so maybe you can give us a quick overview.
Yes, I'll be happy to help. Just one more comment on Wendy's situation with parents not paying. So if you have a good enrollment form and a contract that has T's and C's right from the start, that's also a very good place to start with you setting up a professional relationship with the parent. Then the other thing is if you're tracking your income every month, you're tracking it diligently, you'll pick up very fast if someone hasn't paid. A big thing about people who don't pay is that often no one's following up with them anyway. Someone's only asking them 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later. So you need to be the one that's following up very, very quickly. And then there's also, I think, on our app, there are some resources for where you can write an official letter to the parent to inform them that they're behind on their fees. So this is a good way for you to also keep track and keep record of how you've communicated with the parent, so that it doesn't become an emotional battle. It really is about what is fair. It's both an easy and a complicated scenario, Wendy. So yeah, I really understand that it's not simple, but you've got to be able to do it. Okay, we're hoping to help you. But many centers are doing exceptionally good jobs at fundraising with their parents. So hosting events, doing photos, maybe having a uniform, so many ideas for fundraising with your parents. But let's face it, you can't keep fundraising only from your parents, especially if those parents are the ones struggling to even pay their school fees. So let's think a little bit differently about fundraising. Fundraising can be money. Many times we're looking for money, but fundraising can also be other things. For example, things that help you reduce your costs. So either you can raise money to fill your costs, or you can reduce your costs. Now, this is a really great thing to do. For example, what are you spending on, let's say, gardening services? If you have a nice lawn and it needs to be the grass needs to be cut every 2 weeks, could you get that service for free? Do you have an accountant that you need to pay every month or every term? Could you get accounting services for free? Do you have other services that are being provided? Could you negotiate them for free or at a reduced rate? In fact, could you and your ECD forum work together to go to service providers or to big retailers and negotiate a discount because you're working together to purchase the items? So bulk discounts are usually a great tool as well, on the groceries you're buying, maybe the cleaning materials and things like that. The other great thing is that many South Africans do want to volunteer, they just don't know how. So think about what services you need and what skills you need, and you can ask people to volunteer, maybe even parents who can't pay, let them work at the center, cleaning, fixing, whatever it might be. And finally, you can also ask for product donations. If you need help with fundraising, we have a fundraising course online as well. And Tyrell is also sharing a link in the chat right now with more fundraising tips and ideas. All right, you're in the business of providing quality education. So Lindsay, I loved your example of the salon or the restaurant. It's a product, but it's also more like a service that you're offering. And let's face it, quality education is the service. And the better your service, the more you're differentiated from your competitors, the more customers will love you and talk about you, which is the best form of marketing. And also the more you can make sure that you're getting paid fairly. So Sheila, why don't you talk to us a little bit more about quality education and the service we offer?
Yes. And just to take it back as well, to say, remember, we all along now, we've been talking about what you need for you to make sure that your head for business is in the right place. Now we're focusing on the heart for children. And the question you need to ask yourself is, are you providing a quality ECD service? And there are certain things that you need to tick off for you to say, I think my business is standing in this way when it comes to the quality of the service. And it's also important that we understand that the quality of your service is the difference that you're making. What is it that makes your center stand out as compared to the other center down the road or to the other center within your community? So we have 2 checklists that we've prepared for you. One, which is just the basics that you need to have in place for you to say that the quality of the service that you're offering is great. And another one that shows that you're going beyond and an extra mile, which then enables you to even have more value and be able to charge more for the service that you offer. So let's go to the basic checklist. So I'm challenging you to just go through with me as I'm listing these things so that you can also ask yourself questions about your particular ECD center in general and say, are you offering the right appropriate teacher-to-child ratios? Because obviously it has got an impact in the quality of the service that you offer. And if you're offering the right ratio, and usually the less number of children per teacher is usually allows the children to have more care and more support. So are you following the appropriate child-to-teacher ratios? The other thing is, do you have qualified and competent teachers? Because it is important for teachers to be able to make sure that all stimulation is done and the environment in which the children are in is appropriate for their optimum development. They need to be qualified for what they're doing. They need to be competent. So how competent and qualified are the staff members that you have within your center? Another important thing is to have a structured daily program. So how's the daily program that you're following looking like? Is it something that really ensures that all areas of development are touched on? Are they all representing the best practice when it comes to what is expected within early childhood development? Another important thing to ask yourself is, are you having a play-based program that is aligned to the NCF, to the National Curriculum Framework? Because it is that which enables that you are touching on all those areas of development that needs to be touched for a child to be said that they are being stimulated appropriately and according to the developmental milestones that is expected. So what program are you following at your center? Another important thing is, do you have good learner outcomes? Are you even tracking those outcomes? How do you know that the children in your care are actually tracking according to what is expected when it comes to their developmental milestones? Are you sticking to compliance when it comes to capacity restrictions? Do you know the capacity of your center? And are you sticking to that capacity, or are you having too many learners than what is expected within the space that you have? And we know overcrowding is an issue in some centers, and that then will negatively affect the quality of the service that you are offering at your center. Do you also comply when it comes to registration norms and standards? And all these, I'm sure a lot of us know about them. And if you don't, you can also look within the resources and within the training on the Giraffe app. You are able to understand what are these norms and standards that you're supposed to adhere to. So all these are the basic checklists that for somebody who's doing just the basics in terms of the quality of the early childhood development service that they're offering, you need to be able to tick all these. I'm sure, please feel free to share in the chat and just say how many of these do you tick? And let's move on to the next one.
That's a good one. And I think there was one or two people that mentioned that haven't opened their centers yet. This is great for you to reference and see whether you are getting ready to deliver quality education. So Sheila, if we want to even go beyond that, what should we be looking for?
Okay, so if you want to go an extra mile in ensuring
5-star.
5-star, exactly, in ensuring that you are running a 5-star quality early learning service, you need to be making sure that your teachers do have continuous professional development, and for yourself as well as the owner, as well as for people that have got principals. The principal also have to go through continuous professional development, because we know that there's always a need for people to keep making sure that they are relevant. They still understand how things are happening, and they are keeping up to date with all changes and all the things that are being done within the sector. So continuous professional development is a very important aspect of ensuring that you are going over and beyond in terms of the service that you offer. Another important thing is staff assessments. Do we keep track of how our staff members are doing when it comes to the service that they offer for us? Do we assess them? Do we give them feedback on how they're doing? Do they know where they're doing well and where they still need to develop? Do we even have other things in place like rewards to reward the best practitioner of the month, to recognize them, as well as to keep them motivated and encouraged so that they fall in love even more every day with the work that they are doing. And what I love about all these things that we're talking about is that the tool that Helene was talking to you about, it has got all these things that will give you ideas on how to give rewards and recognition. There's even an embedded staff assessment tool that you can easily have access to. Do you do regular child assessments? Because it's important for you to keep track of how learners are developing and for you to understand which areas are lacking so that you ensure that you focus on them, for them to ensure that all their areas of development are developmentally at par. And like I said as well, within the Grow app, there's also an embedded tool that allows you to assess learners, which then gives you a developmental report that you can even share with parents. Do you give feedback on learner development to caregivers? Because this is important. Parents are a very important stakeholder within the ECD center service. So you need to make sure that you have something that you are able to give them so that they can see and have an understanding of how far and the development of their children is going. Do you also regularly keep parental engagement activities? For example, do you have meetings with parents? Do you run open days? Do you have newsletters that you share with parents? Do you organize for some volunteering sessions with parents so that parents become more familiar with what you do at your center? Because you need your parents to cooperate with you, and they cooperate better if they are in the know, if you engage them and you keep them informed of what happens within your center. And I think Helene can also touch a little bit about the Lion app, which we also have, which allows for parents to also always be in the know, to receive newsletters and to be able to understand the calendar of everything that's happening within the ECD center. Another important thing for you to go over and beyond is to connect to a network of practice or a forum, like an ECD forum, or anywhere where it's a grouping of people that can support you. I see we're running out of time, Helene. Let's touch on the next thing.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much for that. I think that's, I'm seeing questions in the chat about people wanting to run their preschools like a business, wondering what type of support we can provide. I want to talk about our ECD Small Business Accelerator program. So if today has really stimulated your thinking and you're like, what can I do to keep growing my heart for children, delivering quality education, at the same time developing my head for business, running my preschool like a business to be more sustainable and deliver 5-star education? Our ECD Business Owner Accelerator program might be for you. It is offered in Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Durban at our offices. It is every Friday or Saturday for 6 weeks. So you'll choose if you're going to join on a Friday session or a Saturday session, and it runs for 6 weeks. The next course opens in September, and from next week, we will also open the course to people who are planning to open a center. So I think Petronella, I think someone else was saying they're thinking of opening a center. You can definitely join this course. You'll learn about personal leadership, money management, how to run your business, financial sustainability, how to provide quality education, registration, norms and standards, and how to comply with the minimum requirements, and how to work smarter using technology. So feel free to sign up. The course is worth 2,500 Rand, but we are able to heavily subsidize it for you. So for only 600 Rand in total, you can join the course, and it includes lunch, your notes, a professional trainer, and your certificate of completion. All right, if you are having any issues with the app, remember the app is for free, available across the country. Reach out to our app support help desk, available during office hours. You can WhatsApp the help desk, call or email. We can even call you back. So if you're struggling with the online training or anything like that. And if you need to reach out to grow, reach us on social media, Facebook, email us. We're here to help. Let me see, Lindsay, any final thoughts as we sign off?
Oh, goodness. I think that in the sector, sometimes we forget to just know our worth. You are doing amazing, amazing work. and it is not a crime or a sin to be paid for that work. And you can only keep doing that work if your center stays open, and so you have to care about sustainability. So yeah, I think just know your worth and keep working on it. All these things we've listed, we know that they take time to implement. So give yourself grace in that too. But yeah, we have so many free tools and training that's available to you. Go through them, yeah, and take those steps towards sustainability.
Yes, awesome. I'm going to ask you next, Sheila. Natasha Mess asks, do you have to have an ECD center if you want to do this training? Natasha, up to now, yes, you had to have a center, but for September, we will open the training to people who are planning on opening a center in the new year. Okay, so Natasha, this will be your one chance to join. Sheila, final thoughts from you.
What I'd say is that I know we've got big hearts that are for children, and a lot of us need support when it comes to making sure that our head for business is in the right place. And please don't feel isolated and stuck all by yourselves. Like we've indicated to you, we've got lots of tools, and we are actually a support. We're there to become a support to people like yourselves that are needing to do more. So thank you so much for joining, and may you continue to keep in touch with us as we are here to support you and to grow with you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for joining us today and making the time. May God bless all of your ECD centers, your teachers, the learners in your care. May it go really well. We look forward to seeing you at our next webinar, and stay in touch with us on social media, on email, and even in our offices. And we'll see you there. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.